So I will never forget, and probably most of you won't forget, where you were at 9/11. Well, I was working at my civilian job, which was as a chaplain in a state psychiatric hospital at the time. And I'll never forget that morning when the commander of my military unit called me and said, Chaplain Martindale, you're now on active duty orders. You're being called to go and tell two families that they lost loved ones. I want you to come home. I'll have a, at that time called chaplain assistant, waiting for you to drive you to your first location. And at that location, you are to inform a 9-year-old boy and 10-year-old girl that their mother has died. So I said, yes, sir, I'm happy to do that. Very difficult things that chaplains have to do in doing informings. So I went home, I got on my dress blues, and the chaplain assistant at the time drove me to the school. And when I got to the school on 9/11, the principal met me outside the school. And he came to me, and you could tell he had been crying, and he said, I have the children in my office right now, and they're waiting to talk to you. And he said, Chaplain, I have no idea how you're going to tell them that they lost their mother. How on earth are you going to say that to them? And I said to him, sir, there's no easy way to say that. So when I walked in the school, I also noticed there was another a young woman there as well. It was the mother's best friend, and the children knew her. So the principal had forethought to also call her because she was listed on the group of people who were allowed to pick the children up. So she was in there as well as the children, and they were comforted by her because they know her, again, the mother's best friend. Because 6 months prior to that, the father had been killed suddenly in a car accident. So they didn't have any grandparents or aunts and uncles. So they only had their mother left. So when I got to the school, I went in the principal's office, and I worried because I thought, they're in the principal's office. Kids don't want to be in the principal's office. They equate that with being in trouble. So I immediately want to help them, put them at ease as best as I could. So I said, why don't we sit on the floor? And I plopped on the floor, not easy to do in a dress blue uniform, but plopped on the floor with the two of them there and the mom's best friend there as well. And when I sat on the floor, they said, what is this about? Have we done something wrong? And I said, absolutely, you have not done anything wrong. I said, something awful happened in our world today. And 2 towers in New York City are in rubble right now. And your mom works in one of those towers, and she died. And the boy said, that's not possible. That can't happen. How can that be? I just saw her today. And the little girl said, that can't happen because I just made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with my mom this morning. She's here. She has to be here. And I said, I'm sorry. Your mother died. And the mother's best friend said, I'm here for you. I'm here for you now, she said to them. And we stayed for a while, and we talked for a while, and they were in disbelief. And then eventually the mother's best friend took them home and helped them to grieve and helped them through that process. I think one good thing out of that profound grief, and all of you will remember what happened and where you were at 9/11, but for this family, they'll certainly never forget that. And I remember then what happened was this young woman was engaged, and she and her fiance ended up adopting these 2 kids because they didn't have another family. And so one thing that we started after that is each year on 9/11, I call these 2 kids. And I asked them early on, is it okay if I call you? And they said, we want you to call. And then after that, years later, when they've grown up, it's been a long time now, we look forward to those phone calls because they say, you were there with us, Chaplain, when we learned about our mom. And we want to have that connection with you. So every year on 9/11, I call the 2 of them, and we talk about their mom and what they remember about her. And they tell me what they've been doing in school and their friends and all the things they've been doing. And we connect. Because, friends, you never know who's going to companion you on your journey. You never know who's going to help you in the most difficult times. So my talk to you today is just about who can you help along the way when you least expect it. Sometimes, as you all know, we're thrown curveballs, and we never know what we're going to be given. But can we be up to the task? Can we be there for someone else when they're in pain?